Hey everyone, Lolcohol here. In this video, I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite resources that I use for Path of Exile. Everything from leveling tools to price checking tools, crafting information, and layout and build guides. I've tried to include as much as possible. Also, if you prefer reading to watching a video, I provided a document in the description below that you can click the link to. With that being said, let's go. First up, Path of Exile Roadmap. If you haven't watched my last video, I spoke about setting up a spreadsheet with all your gems and the location in which you find them as you level. That really helps speed things up. So instead of going through Path of Exile Wiki and doing it manually, people suggested PoE Roadmap. This is an amazing tool. All you need to do is copy your Path of Building Pastebin link in here and then hit submit. And then what you'll see here is all your gems listed out beautifully. You've got Blight, you get it in Act 1, available to Witch. Empower, it's lootable. Contagion, you get in Act 1, breaking some eggs from Tarkly, etc, etc. This is excellent time saver. It also has unique items which you can check on the trade official sites or PoE Trade. I've clicked that before, it doesn't seem to work, but you're mainly going to be using this for sorting out your gems and knowing exactly where you're going to be getting them. This is an excellent resource, so be sure to check it out. Oh, and thanks to everyone who shared this. Really appreciate it. So if you don't know how to get your Path of Building Pastebin link, what you can do is open Path of Building, go to Import, Export, Build, hit Generate. A code will appear. You can either copy that or click Share with Pastebin, which will give you a shorter link. You can copy that and then just put that into PoE Roadmap. Speaking of Path of Building, if you aren't aware of this, this is an amazing tool for organizing, setting up your build, seeing how different points affect your damage and life, etc, etc. I'm sure most of you are well aware of this tool, but if you're not, you need to start using Path of Building. This is amazing, and most build guides will share a Path of Building link. Something I should mention, just make sure that you have the latest update before League starts, because the tree is going to change quite drastically. Another thing, the community fork version seems to be the most up-to-date, so I'm going to be linking that in the description below. Awaken PoE Trade is an absolutely phenomenal tool that does a lot of different things. So you can use it to price check uniques, you can use it to check your syndicate, you can use it to sort out your dump tab, as well as many other things. Instead of going through everything, I'm going to link a video from Elitish Academy. He goes through everything. He's got an excellent short tutorial where he goes through it. But quickly, just demonstrating some of the things it can do. You can Control D over an item. This will bring up the PDPS, attacks per second, all that. But it'll also show you the price of items. So at the top, you see there's Devoto's Devotion. It's worth about 4. Chaos. This is really great. Then you can also hit Shift Space. You can modify these hotkeys, by the way. But you can see over here, you've got cheat sheets like checking out your betrayal rewards and things like that, syndicate rewards. You can also use it to sort out your dump tabs. That's less important now that stash tab affinities are a thing. But yeah, be sure to check out Elitish Academy's video for a full rundown on this one. Apologies for the flashbang, but these cheat sheets are based on Engineering Eternity's guides. These are an excellent resource to get a summary of the different areas in the campaign. So you'll see it's got a nice little chapters section here where it's got every area in the game. If you want to see, let's say, Chamber of Sins, it's got these basic layouts like this, right? And it'll say, note, go to the center of the zone, always left to right. Activate the waypoint and follow the hallway next to the waypoint. It's got little tricks like this throughout the document. You don't have to memorize this, but going through it or keeping it up on a second monitor as you go through the campaign is a really nice way to get through the campaign more quickly. Next up, we've got PoENinja. I think it says it best over here. This is an economic build overview of the action role-playing game Path of Exile based on public stash tab data or data. This is a great thing to keep track of the trends of the market. So you can see here, you've got the price of, let's say, mirrors, all these orbs, exalts. So you can change the league here, highest, hardcore, highest, standard, etc. Then you can also click this little button. This will show you a graph of the varying price as it goes throughout league. This is kind of important if you want to follow trends and see the direction in which the market's moving. You can also use this to check the price of essences, divination cards, prophecies, everything. What it's really nice for as well is checking the price of uniques. This won't take into account things like rolls, but it gives you a ballpark figure that you can work from. This is kind of an anti-scam thing. I've explained that in other videos, but this gives you a nice ballpark figure of everything from currency to uniques, etc. Another thing, it has a build section. From here, you can see which are the most popular builds this league, which are the most popular items, the most popular skills, etc, etc. You can even click one of these. It'll bring up a list of all the top builds, well, top players with those builds for that league. You can click this little magnifying glass. It'll bring up that player's gear in its entirety. You can hover over it, see what crazy stuff they have, look at all their flasks, all their jewels, and you can also see their passive tree. This is amazing. You can also search by skills. So let's say you're playing a chieftain, or let's say an assassin, Blade Vortex. So you can click Blade Vortex. That'll bring up all the builds where someone is playing assassin with their main skill as Blade Vortex. So you can see, wow, this guy has got 23.5 million DPS. I wonder what gear he's got. Let's find out. Cool. This is expensive. That's it. Make sure to use Path of Exile.ninja for all this information. PoEDB. This is an all-round resource that I absolutely love. First up, it'll show you a list of all the different uniques that are new to a league. So you can see these are all the uniques that came out in Harvest. You can hover over these and check out all these different items. It's also got information on trade, quest, war for the Atlas, etc, etc. However, my favorite part of PoEDB is the mod section. So from here, you can see every mod for every different kind of item that can roll. So if you're someone who's into crafting, this is absolutely, you can't live without this. I forgot the word that I was looking for. So let's say you want to craft an amulet, right? And you want to see, okay, I want life on my amulet. So what eye level amulet do I need to get the highest tier roll? So here you can see this is the name of the mod and the tier. This is the eye level, the item level at which it is required to roll that. So for max life, you'd need an item level 54 amulet. This shows the actual roll. And then these are tags associated with the item, resource and life. These are important if you're doing things like fossil crafting and also possibly the deterministic crafting that we're going to be seeing in 3.13. If it's something like add a life modifier and remove another one or something like that, you'll see this tag. That's why it's got this tag. And lastly, the final little red number here, this is the weighting. This is how often this mod shows up. I don't know exactly why it's 1000, but something you need to know. If you see here, all the different life rolls have a weighting of 9000. But let's check something like penetration, right? Damage penetrates 4 to 7% elemental resistances, shaper. So you can see firstly you need that on a shaper base, but here you can see it's got a weighting of 800, which is 10 times lower than a life roll. If you click on that, you can see you need an eye level 68 item. And then you can go down, you can see there are some with absolutely bananas low things like level of cold skill gems. This is about 36 times less likely to roll on an item as life. But yeah. Another thing that's amazing about this is that you can click the different fossils to see which fossils would be best to craft an item. So let's say you want an amulet with a whole lot of life and a whole lot of elemental damage. So you can click pristine fossil, prismatic fossil, and you'll see a whole lot of mods disappear, which are mods that cannot roll when you are using these fossils. And then also the weighting changes. So life is times 10. So you've got 10 times more likely to hit this mod. Same with all the elemental ones. It's got these multipliers. So yeah, I could make a whole video on this. I'm just going to move on. Check out PoEDB, links in description. PoE Lab, this is a nice resource for checking out the lab maps and boss guides and things like that. So before you run your first, let's say Merc Lab, Cruel Lab, Normal Lab, Uber Lab, you can click over here. It wants my cookies. And then you can see this is the daily layout for the labyrinth, the Uber Labyrinth. If you're not aware, the labyrinth changes every day. So checking this before you run it is quite important if you want to do the shortest route. So you can see there's sort of a straight line for today's labyrinth. So instead of going up, down, up, down, up, down, you just see, okay, I need to go from room 1 to room 3 to room 5. And this layout will match on the little epitaphs or whatever you call that thing that sits by the door. So you'll be able to quite easily see where you're going. PoE Wiki, this has got everything you could ever possibly want to know about Path of Exile. So let's say you're curious about the lore of Einhar. You can type in Einhar and it'll bring up a thing all about Einhar. This is literally like Wikipedia for Path of Exile, or if you want to search, let's say, Cluster Jewel, it'll bring up information about that. This is an amazing resource for all things Path of Exile. Another thing, make sure to update your filters before League start. Neversink has an excellent all-rounder filter that he usually uploads on the day of League launch, if not a couple of days before. This has got varying tiers of filters, so you can go into your UI and scroll down. You can see Neversink, soft, regular, semi-strict, strict, etc. His filter is the go-to. If you want to get more specific, you can, but if you're new to filters, Neversink is absolutely foolproof. For a leveling filter, you can use Titai Killers because it highlights important items such as iron rings or items with specific sockets and colors. And it's also got different versions for different builds. So caster, melee, ranged, minions. I really like these at the start of a league. Just make sure that they are up to date. Otherwise, they might be missing some of the new league items in the filter. But I'm sure he will update it beforehand. If not, just use Neversinks. You can't go wrong with that. That's going to be it for this video. If you have any other resources that you'd like to share, please leave them down in the comments below. I have added links to absolutely everything discussed in this video in the description, so be sure to check that out. If you like the video, a like and subscribe are very much appreciated. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day, and make sure to check out the 3.13 expansion trailer coming out in just a few hours after the upload of this video. So good luck in 3.13. Thank you for watching, and bye!
Divine power! Divine power! It's launching, Exile. You're making me nervous.